Hi everyone, Mon here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome if you're new. This channel is called Intuitive Soul Savant. No AI, I'm a real person. And today we're going to look at the transits for the next week. I did upload a video yesterday speaking about the eclipses, big eclipse energy that we've had. That video is there for you, and that video is discussing validation because the South Node is in Leo and we have Jupiter there as well. And I'm a Leo rising, so I'm getting some great insights into validation, the ego, the light shining, the sun, the heart. And last time the South Node was in Leo 18, 19 years ago, we didn't have this energy on planet. In actual fact, the last time that Jupiter was in Leo, along with the South Node in Leo, it was for 3 months in 1990. And previous to that, it was in the 1800s. So we don't have that much experience as a collective with Jupiter in Leo and the South Node in Leo, and it's longer than 3 months. You know, it's easy 12 months this time around. So with Uranus in Gemini, social media, change, awakening, the Hollywood culture, influencing culture, you know, there's a lot that that could be changed, let go of, rehashed in that area, and for all of us to be heading to the North Node in Aquarius, okay? And that's never been so important as it is now because we have Pluto in Aquarius. So my take on these eclipses is that these eclipses have really activated the Pluto in Aquarius, okay? So along with Jupiter, okay, this has really got the Pluto in Aquarius going. The energy's been quite subtle, but I think now because we're dealing with Jupiter in Leo, South Node in Leo, and Leo ruling the ego, and lots of O's, and you know, the ruler of Leo is the sun, and we all have a sun sign, and we all survive on this planet under a sun. If the sun doesn't shine, we're not here. So there's so much to learn in this next year, as we 18 months, as we have the nodes in that polarity of Aquarius and Leo, as well as Jupiter transiting. You know, so it's great. It's really good energy to evolve and to let go of, you know, that part of the ego that needs validation from others rather than just shining because you've got a gift. Anyway, I talk all about that in the other video, so let's get on with the week. Now, this week, you know, it's not too bad this week. Thank God. We've had so much intense energy around, right? So yesterday, I sat down to make today's video, but sort of channeled for 25 minutes, and so I didn't want to overload you with a longer video, and you can watch this in your own time. So yesterday, Mercury in Leo conjunct Jupiter in Leo, all right? So that's good for the mind, okay? If we've come out of grief and stress and change, you know, from the full moon and then the eclipse, the new moon eclipse, and the full moon previous to that, we've had a couple of rough months. You know, the Mercury in Leo conjunct Jupiter can get us to start to think in a more positive way, all right? So that transit energy is still around today. And the interesting thing that Mercury in Leo is going to trine Saturn on Tuesday. So that's good energy, okay? So we're sort of thinking positive, Mercury with the Jupiter. And, you know, the trine to Saturn, you know, we can put some discipline down and some structure and feel grounded again, Okay, so if we've had the rug pulled out from under us in the last few months, now is the time, and especially coming into Virgo as well, because Virgo energy is so grounded. But the Mercury trine Saturn in Aries, we can get some grounding again back into our own energy, right? So Sunday is today that I'm making this video. So today, Mars in Cancer is sextiling Neptune, is squaring Neptune in Aries. And that's sort of later in the evening today. So that might be sort of early morning Sunday for you guys in the Northern Hemisphere. And we're still talking the 3 degrees. Neptune's 3 degrees, 59 minutes. Mars, 3 degrees in Cancer. Now, just to add and remind you that Mars, the last time Mars was in Cancer, it was there for 7 months because it did a retrograde in Cancer, Mars. And so, we didn't feel like we could move. We felt a bit stuck because that was prior to all of the outer planets changing signs. So the last time Mars was there in Cancer, it will be going direct all the way through. But with our Jupiter in Cancer, we had Mercury go retrograde in Cancer. Venus was the first personal planet to go through Cancer. And, of course, we had the Sun going through Cancer in July. So, a lot of us went within our family or within our home, and then the eclipse energy came. All right, so this is the last personal planet to go through Cancer until next year. Okay, so wherever that is in your chart, in my chart, it's in the 12th house. So Mars in Cancer feels a little thwarted when it comes to energy. Being in my 12th house, I sleep really well, and I don't usually have to get up and go energy. So just be aware of that. Don't push yourself. Be kind to yourself. Take action, Mars, to nurture Cancer, the self, okay? And that Mars will be there for another 4 or 5 weeks, okay? So that's today that square will be exact between Mars and Cancer and Neptune and Aries. And, if you have decided to do something today, it may sort of get a bit blurry and unclear. So just wait for that square to pass over in the next couple of days, and the clarity should return. All right. So I'm all confused now. It's Sunday here today. Tomorrow is Monday, Sydney time. And Northern Hemisphere, this Mars square Neptune will be early morning for you, Monday morning, okay? Early Monday morning after your weekend. And Monday here, Sydney time. Okay, so on Tuesday, we've got that Mercury in Leo trine, Saturn in Aries, and that's at 14 degrees. Saturn is retrograde. Okay, so we're backpedaling and taking another look at where we missed something along the way as far as discipline goes, the sobriety goes of Saturn, and it's all to do with ourselves, okay? And I say discipline, Saturn in Aries. Aries is the self-discipline. And I know with my Aries clients, my hands-on healing clients, they've all come back to me because obviously Saturn rules the bones, the skeletal system. So I find that they've come back, so they're feeling that energy unbeknownst to them, because a lot of them don't study astrology, but, I'm well aware. And it's very interesting to observe. So that is Tuesday as well. On Tuesday, early in the morning. Okay, so this will be Monday for you guys, Northern Hemisphere. Venus in Libra sextiles Jupiter in Leo. And this is lovely energy too. Okay, yes, this early in this week, we've got a reprieve after the eclipse energy, and Venus, you know, is a benefic, and so is Jupiter, a benefic. Okay, but let's not get too carried away, because too much of a good thing is too much. Okay. And with Venus and Jupiter, that's what can happen. Libra loves to party with Leo, and Leo loves to party with Libra. And a sextile will take some action from either party to make a party, but overindulgence is one of the shadows of the Venus and Jupiter. Even though it's a sextile transit, we've got to watch that we don't overindulge with food, gambling, spending, shopping, alcohol, you know, whatever we can overindulge in, sugar, you know, whatever we can. Now, the thing with this Venus and Jupiter sextile is this is going to happen another 2 times. But the difference is Venus is heading for a retrograde. She's in Libra. She's going to ingress into Scorpio, station retrograde, go back into Libra, station direct, and go back into Scorpio. Okay, so when Venus is in Scorpio, retrograde and direct, there'll be another sextile. Now, those degrees are 24 degrees on the 4th of November, and on the 28th of November, 26 degrees. Now, here's the thing. Venus will be stationing, right? And I haven't even got the degrees, but I can just tell. Venus will be stationing and making this sextile, right? So a station from Venus, any planet that's stationing either retrograde or direct, the energy is more intense, all right? So Venus in Scorpio is a different beast to Venus in Libra. All right, so the energies will be a little bit different with the Venus, but Jupiter will be in Leo. Okay, so we'll have a look at that in November, but just know that we've got 3 Venus sextile Jupiter, and it's a square with the Scorpio. Okay, it'll be a square. So that Venus and Jupiter are meeting 3 times this year. All right, with Jupiter in Leo. So on Wednesday, there's no aspects here in Sydney. On Thursday, in the afternoon, I have added this, even though we don't talk about Lilith too much. The sun in Leo is going to trine Lilith. So I added that because, you know, Lilith is our rebellious feminine energy. She wasn't going to stand for the structure that God had set up for Adam and Eve, and she opted out. I would regard myself as a Lilith type archetype energy, totally relate. And that is at 27 degrees, right? So Lilith's in Sag. Lilith loves being in Sag because she's free to roam around, to do her adventures. She doesn't feel tied down, locked in. Okay, so if you want to get out and just do something for yourself and be free and, you know, go on an adventure, with the girls, you know, leave the boys at home, or boys go out as the boys, leave the girls at home, whatever. That sun trine Lilith is on Thursday, just after lunch here, so early in the morning, Thursday morning for you guys, Northern Hemisphere. And then Friday, we have Venus in Libra oppose Saturn in Aries. Okay, and Saturn is retrograde. All right, so a little self-care from Venus in Libra. Venus loves being in Libra. She won't berate Saturn while she's in Libra. She's quite happy to get along with Saturn. It's an opposition. Nobody wins in an opposition. It's a tug of war, but there's no winner. So, you know, when it comes to your relationships, Venus in Libra, you know, don't face off because no one's going to win. You know, Saturn in Aries, you know, Saturn might dig in its heels and become old man, grumpy Saturn, you know, in Aries. And I'm not going to say that, but I've known a few, I will say, I've known a few grumpy Aries, elderly men in my time, and I love them. I love Aries because I love their naive, beautiful souls and hearts. So, you know, no squaring off in relationships towards the end of next week because no one's going to win. Just wait a few days and then you can sit down and have a good conversation about it. But the good time to have a conversation is early in the week when Mercury is making the lovely conjunction to Jupiter, or when Mercury is trining Saturn. That would be midweek, would be the time to have a face-off if that's what you want, but not towards the end of the week. Okay, and that's at 14 degrees, 12 minutes. That's Saturn retrograding. You know, and Venus, as I said, is getting ready to slow down and retrograde herself. So that's it. There's nothing next Saturday. I'll be back next Saturday. But on Sunday, the 23rd, we have the Sun in Leo opposite the nodes, okay? Now, I will discuss that next week, but that's energy, all right? That's intense energy there because the Sun in Leo is going to be opposing that North Node in Aquarius. You know, we got a bit of ego facing off with the more idealistic humanitarian concerns of Aquarius, and that is at the end of Leo because we know that the North Node in Aquarius is at 29 degrees. So the Sun at 29 degrees, which is a very integral degrees out of the 30 degrees. Okay, it's a power degree, that 29 degree. You know, so that's what we've got coming on the Sunday here in Sydney time, all right, the 23rd. So, you know, we've got some sweet energy this week that we can relax into after the eclipses, all right? Now, the eclipses, the energy came in before the eclipse. They say that the energy is around for 6 months, but there's an intense period and we've just gone through it. We have another eclipse in Pisces, you know, and that'll just be the last bit of homework that Pisces energy has for us until, you know, the next 19 years when that North Node will be in Pisces, all right? And that'll be our last eclipse in Pisces for 9 years. All right, so lovely week. We've still got in the background humming along, we've got the nodes sextiling Chiron, all right, and Chiron's retrograding back into Aries, and we've got Neptune sextiling Pluto. That, you know, these two humming on in the back go to the end of October, okay, but they're still active energies, you know, so slow moving planets, Neptune and Pluto, right? So all that's still going on in the background, humming along. You know, many people have said nothing's happened, blah, blah, blah. I've heard other astrologers say this too. And no, it's outer planets. They're generational planets, all right? When you've been an astrologer for a long time, yes, they sort of can come to seem to be very, very important. But when you start astrology, they're generational planets. Okay, they're slow moving, they take time to form change, yeah, with the plasma. Okay, so that's it. I love you all. Have a look at that video. It's for everybody. We all over-validate. We all require over-validation, especially with social media. You will never hear me say or complain or compare the numbers of my subscribers or the numbers of my viewers of each video. You will never hear me say that again. Why? Because I have a Leo rising, and in the last couple of months since I gave up Facebook and Instagram completely, you know, all social media, since I gave all of that up, and felt so free from it, you know, I've really learned and gotten deep and gone within to see the subtle validation, you know. So I don't even know how many people have looked at that video yesterday. But the thing that Spirit has shown me, as well as my numerology numbers, my core numbers, my number one core number is a 9. I'm here for humanity to share my gifts, my experience, and the next number is an 8, my personality. Those two conflict terribly. So I cannot do stuff for money. If I do, it just all falls to pieces. I've got to focus on my humanitarian energy, my expression of as being a humanitarian, and the bridge number is 7. So I have faith that the finances and my needs are met with resources and finances. And wow, it's taken me 60 years to finally understand that conflict within between the idealism as a humanitarian as well as a business person. Right, those two, yeah, I've had big trouble with that, big trouble. And of course it reflected in the family that I chose to be born into, that told me that all the stuff that I express won't make money, so I'm not worthwhile, you know. So there's been a lot of cleanup that I've had to do around the energy, but we're all doing that now. We're all doing that now because Pluto's in Aquarius, the collective, but what makes up the collective is the individual, and individuation is part of our journey back to the divine, the self, the higher self, divinity. So I love you all. Thank you. Please drop a comment in the comment box there. There's videos in the description box that I've highlighted. Thank you, guys. I enjoy doing this, and I'm going to probably come with more videos now that I organise that conflict thing. And how about this, just as a PS, YouTube now have doubled the hours, the watch time hours before they'll pay you. Well, I'm not monetized, okay? And that was the conflict. Here I am putting like a job. Am I going to apply myself like a job? Or how do I pay the rent if I'm just doing all that sort of stuff went on in my mind. Yeah, so that I believe is because of AI. Once AI came out, heaps of people started making these 2-3 hour Carl Jung videos and shadow videos and whatever else is in other themes out there. And so it's very easy to get the hours that they did require, you know, 2-3 hour videos. People go to sleep and they go to sleep, the video is still going 2-3 hours, and then that's all adding to the owner of the channel's compensation, you know. But they've done it with AI, and you know, good luck to them, whatever. But now YouTube has doubled it to like 8,000 hours before you could even apply to get paid. So I can't see myself getting 80, you know. Oh dear, who knows, maybe, but it won't be from my striving, that's for sure. So isn't that interesting? I'm glad I didn't get all, you know, taken away with all that energy to get monetized, you know. So anyway, that's it. Don't want to keep you anymore. Have a lovely weekend. Still cold down here in the southern parts of the hemispheres, and still warm and fiery, I believe, up in the northern hemispheres. But we're all one, okay? We're all one, and we're nothing without you, okay? Love you all. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.